some of my favorite stuff. It really is. Some of my favorite stuff to listen to when I'm at home. I listen to a lot of the rock records that I grew up listening to, because there was about a 20-year period of time that I didn't listen to any of that. I mean, I intentionally stopped listening to all that, to Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix for almost 20 years, and then about a couple of years ago, just when, found some of my old cassettes and 8-tracks and records and stuff, and now they got all this stuff on CD anyways, and started listening to, back to Cream and Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin. So, why haven't I been listening to this stuff for so long? And that was one of the reasons I made this new album, was just because, I had been going back and listening to it again after almost 20 years of not listening to it, because I was listening to exclusively blues and jazz and soul and R&B and stuff.
Was that because you were in a lot of bands that were strictly like traditional blues that you just sort of steered away from it for a little while?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I was in these bands and I wanted to remain as pure and true to the music that I was, and I was afraid that maybe it might dilute what I was doing with these bands or my style at that particular time. It was just, a lot of people are like that. There's a lot of blues purists out there, and I started realizing as I was getting older that, there's no one person that can really say what blues is. I don't care, what they write in magazines. You got people, there's certain magazines out there that won't even give, a white artist any room in their magazine to do a story on. I won't name names, they know who they are. But yet, Muddy Waters had white guys in his bands in the 60s and said that everyone gets the blues. And Willie Dixon said everyone gets the blues. And Muddy Waters and Willie Dixon, and they hung out with the Rolling Stones, and they met Led Zeppelin, and they had no problems with these guys doing what they did. So, why should I?
Music's universal.
Exactly. And so, like I said, it came to a realization that as I got older, that being a blues purist is just limiting yourself and not having closing off any kind of expansion, and being able to enjoy things, because as a traditional blues player, just playing straight up traditional blues, if I could play that every night of the week and get over and fill a room, I would do it gladly, because I love the music that much. But I also happen to love rock. I would happen to love jazz. I would also happen to love R&B and soul and funk. But there's a lot of people out there. In fact, I would say 90% of your blues audience at any major festival that you go to, they have no idea what traditional blues music really is. They're just there to hear good music. And 9 times out of 10, they're more familiar with the rock side of blues because of guys like Eric Clapton and Stevie Ray Vaughan, and
well, people who delve into the mainstream.
Right, because that's the era that they grew up in. And so I'm pretty much limiting my audience if I'm just playing traditional blues all night. And that was another reason for making this new record and kind of broadening my sound a little bit, just to gain, some more fans. And hopefully by me doing that, if they like the new stuff and they like my new record, they might go back and buy some of my old records. And if they buy some of my old records and like that stuff, the traditional stuff, they might want to know who my influences were and try and find some of the older stuff too, just like I did. And, so that's basically, why I do what I do, man.
Sounds good. Now, you've also acted as producer for a number of different albums, including, most recently, Magic Slim's 2008 album, Midnight Blues. How did that come about?
Oh, it was just a mutual decision between the record label and myself that one day I was talking to one of the heads of the record label about possibly doing some work with them. They had asked me if I would, mind doing some work with them, and I've been running my own label for so long that I really wasn't prepared or even, I was comfortable where I was. I didn't feel the need to record with the other label, but I said, I love producing, man. I wouldn't have no problem coming in and producing one of your artist stuff if you got something like that. And they asked me, well, who do you like on our roster that you'd like to do something with? And I said, Magic Slim is one of my all-time favorite blues artists from Chicago. I mean, this guy was going to see when I was 16 and 17 years old. And they said, well, it just so happens we've got him on schedule to be recording in the next couple of months, so we don't have a producer yet. So it worked out, and, I got the job. Simple as that.
Now, your style, one of the accolades you get, one of many accolades, is that your style is very distinctive. Is there anything from your childhood or background that has no input? And this doesn't even necessarily have to be strictly musical, but have the input on your style of playing.
I wouldn't say that anything specifically in my childhood, other than the fact that I've just always been a music lover, and even when I, like I said earlier about, intentionally omitting any kind of rock influence in my life for about almost 20 years while I was doing the blues stuff, subconsciously, the rock stuff I listened to was sneaking in there, and I think that's what people are talking about with the distinctive style, because people have told me that you play very traditional Chicago stuff, but you've got way more energy. There's a certain amount of energy, and I think that comes from the rock guys. There's just more the intensity that they brought to blues when they made it to their own style, and I think maybe that's was lying underneath when I would play the traditional stuff. And even some of that comes from some of the guys I played with. Jimmy Dawkins, I mean, there's a guy that's a very intense guitar player, and I've always been drawn to stuff that was just like more powerful, intense, and even like this stuff. Listen to this. I mean, even this is just so mellow, but listen to what's going on there. You listen to this stuff, man. You can't help but. At least, like I said earlier, man. For me, man, I get a physical sensation when I listen to this stuff. It's almost like an adrenaline rush, and it comes out of me when I play too. And I've been lucky enough to play with musicians that are like-minded and feel music the same way I do, so when we all play together, it's pretty cool, And as far as being, having a distinctive sound, I think it's the fact that we can play traditional music and then jump from one song of traditional music right up to a very modern style of song and make it seamless where it fits. Where I've heard bands play very traditional songs and then play a very modern song, and it's well,
take a 180 turn.
Yeah, it's where did that come from? And I don't know how we do it, or why it comes off the way it comes off, and with success, but we just do it that way, and I think maybe that's what people are talking when they say we have a distinctive style, because we can mix traditional with modern and make it seem like it fits, which is a hard thing to do.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us, and good luck tonight.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.